Hey everyone. So my first recording of a reel for Black Coffee, No Sugar, No Cream, uh, I didn't expect it to be this. But today, what happened was so urgent that I thought I'd just jump in and make this recording. I didn't even take time to really prepare. Just want to talk to you about the shooting of a woman in Minneapolis by an ICE agent. So first, I'm going to start with my condolences to the family of the victim. Um, it also seems there may have been a family member on the scene with the victim when this happened. So my heart is really going out to the city of Minneapolis, whose citizens are now 5 years later having to deal with another tragic police incident after the murder of George Floyd, which occurred only, they said, less than half a mile away from today's incident. So there are questions that I have about what happened today, such as, and they're probably the same questions you have, such as how did these agents go from attempting to get their vehicle out of the snow to approaching the victim's vehicle and trying to open the car door to lethal force? Was there a warrant for her by the enforcement and removal agents? Why did the agent draw his gun? The victim has not yet been identified, but it has been said multiple times in the media that she's a U.S. citizen. So why was she being approached? Was it because she was protesting their presence? And what about her First Amendment rights, right? Something else that my friends have been asking me about is, well, you think there'll be charges? In my opinion, and with the information that we have right now, I don't feel confident enough in a thorough investigation by the government that there will be a grand jury presentation that will result in a chance of charges against this agent. Let me tell you why. So the Department of Homeland Security already released a statement saying that this woman was a domestic terrorist, but there hasn't been an investigation yet. So what are the details that would support that? There has not been an appreciable amount of time that's passed to determine all these details, and in enough information. There has been a statement made by Donald Trump that the victim was resisting, that she was targeting ICE agents, and that the officer involved was in the hospital recovering. But this is the same officer that we saw who appeared not to be injured after the incident and walked away of his own volition. So I am concerned about those details being released at such an early stage without enough information, and what that actually sets the stage for. Does that set the stage for we've already made a decision and that's it? So we'll have to wait and see, right? For those who wonder about state charges from the state of Minnesota, well, there are some barriers that exist there, such as the Federal Supremacy Clause, which makes federal law pretty much the supreme law of the land. And it holds state judges accountable for ensuring that there's no undermining of federal law. So it will be difficult to pursue charges in that way. In addition, if the family of the victim wishes to pursue a civil case against the agent, they'll be faced with what's called qualified immunity. And qualified immunity is a judicial doctrine that shields government officials, such as police officers, from being found personally liable for violating a person's rights. I would like to go on more in-depth into an in-depth explanation of qualified immunity, but it's going to have to wait just because of, in the interest of time. But just know that, in my opinion, at this time, without any more information, that there are probably going to be barriers to charges against the agent. And I want us to manage our expectations as we follow the developments in this story. Under normal circumstances, investigators would be examining the policy and the training of ICE agents when it comes to not only lethal force, but the expectation is when vehicles are a part of the consideration in force incidents. In recent years, because it has become such a point of contention, and in order to preserve life, law enforcement has been examining what officers should do when in the presence of moving vehicles. For instance, some law enforcement agencies have policy and or implemented training where officers are taught to not place themselves in front of moving vehicles or to move out of the path of moving vehicles rather than forcing an engagement where deadly force is used by them under the umbrella of self-defense. Training and policy exists to protect both the people and to protect law enforcement officers and also to hold law enforcement officers accountable. So under normal circumstances, those would be considerations. I don't know, again, how this investigation is going to go. But here are my final thoughts until we get more information. When law enforcement does not normalize de-escalation, when the First Amendment right to protest the government is not recognized by law enforcement, when humanity is removed from the formula, and when some celebrate law enforcement as agents of unrestrained power and not order, what results is going to be predictable, chaotic, and, as we saw today, tragic.